Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Mystic podcast, and I'm your host Rahul N Singh. Today we will be talking about something interesting. Let's just say that. And the reason I want to discuss this because it is becoming pretty obvious that this seems to be a big problem, especially with gurus that become popular, and these matters should be taken seriously. But I want to see things from an Advaita Vedanta lens. So, as you know, recently, Bay Schofield, who has done reports on investigation reports on Amma Muji, I think Andrew Cohen, a few of these non-dual teachers or gurus in general. She's done investigative reports on them, and she just recently did one on Sadhguru Jogi Vasudev. Now, obviously, Sadhguru is a very popular guru, probably the most popular one on YouTube today in terms of Indian spirituality. His number of views and number of subscribers is immense. He definitely has inspired a lot of people on the spiritual path. But when somebody has, and again, this is for people who are over 18, or if you have any previous history of sexual harassment, please, there's caution now that if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. So I want to discuss those allegations, but more so, not necessarily if they're true or not, but what do we do when there has been allegations? How should someone who's on the path of Advaita Vedanta or non-duality, how are they meant to deal with this? What do the scriptures say? What does our teachers say? What does Adi Shankaraji say? So we're going to look into that. So first of all, one important thing is Advaita Vedanta fully believes that one should, first of all, practice self-inquiry. So Atma Vichara, that is your highest teaching. You should have discernment, Viveka, about what is right and what is wrong. One should uphold Dharma. Then there's detachment. So one shouldn't be too attached to the guru that if allegations come out, you just outright disbelieve it. There has to be some discernment and some detachment in order to allow these investigations to follow through. And all these are essential for spiritual growth. Now, when the guru is accused of any type of misconduct, and whether they're true or not, and that's including sexual harassment, Advaita Vedanta actually tells us that we need to encourage careful analysis rather than blind faith, that, oh, my guru can do no wrong. That type of mentality means it's blind faith. You don't really know what you believe in. It's just a matter of, well, you believe in this and that's it. There's no discussion. If there is allegations of such, and mind you, Sadhguru not just only has allegations in general with consenting or adult women, it's also with minors. And so this is where it gets concerning for me. Now, I fundamentally believe that I cannot promote anybody that is, accused of such misconduct. Especially, there's nowhere does it say these things are consensual. So wherever there's misconduct of sexual nature, I believe that's where I draw the line personally. That's just me and my personal preference. A lot of people don't really care, but that's not my concern. And I believe that we should hold people to the highest, kind of accountability, especially if they're a teacher. So But again, this is less to do with Sadhguru, more to do with what do we do when we know of a teacher who has been accused of such things, and can we still learn from them? Those grey areas where they could be a good teacher, but obviously their behavior says something else. So Advaita Vedanta actually has ways of dealing with that. So one, you do have to distinguish between the teachings from the teacher. That's utilizing your Vivek. Now, we know that Brahman, this absolute truth, this absolute reality, is impersonal and beyond individuals. It does not belong, this truth does not belong to one person. Yeah, not one person holds the key to the whole universe, and they should be seen as the highest on the pedestal. I'm sorry, if you think your guru is the best, everyone else thinks their guru is the best. So what you're saying is nothing special. It may be special in your own eyes, but it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. In fact, I think it's more from ego that we say such things, because if we say that my guru is better than yours, then literally that's just a game of ego. The teachings and the truth remain valid regardless of if the individual fails to embody it. And again, like if certain teachers are they have allegations of misconduct, then we have to separate the teachings from the teacher. We have to say, look, it may be that they have great meditation practices, great yogic practices, great knowledge, they explain the scriptures so well. That may be so. But the fact is, there is misconduct. And therefore, they have failed to embody what they claim to teach, and what is expected from them as gurus, so to speak. So this does not excuse the teacher's misconduct. One can appreciate the teachings, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that we need to hold the teacher in high regard. Yeah, the teaching should be given more importance. And yes, in Advaita Vedanta, a guru's integrity matters. It is important. In the Upanishads and Adi Shankaraji, they both emphasize that a guru should be well versed in the scriptures. So that's the number one thing. If they're not, I would say knowing Sanskrit is a minor thing, but they should know the essence of the scriptures. They should know how to explain the scriptures. They should be a good representation of the scriptures. So this is why, what this does is, it gives you a foundation to assess whether a guru should be followed. Yeah, if they can't explain the scriptures very well, then should you follow them? What are they going to give you? Yeah, all the wisdom that needs to be discussed is in the scriptures anyway. The thing is, a teacher, through their embodiment, shows you the practical way of living it. So if they're not well versed in the scripture, not just in terms of explaining, but embodying also, then there's value in the teacher. And they should be established in Brahman. They should be established in the highest nature. And so if a guru exhibits or shows any type of adharmic, unrighteous, irreligious behavior, then they simply aren't fit to guide seekers. It's as clear as that. You have to embody what you say. Yeah. Now, it may be that the person has kind of rectified their behavior. And that should also be considered. That, have they committed misconduct in the past? Okay, for that, the due process needs to be followed. Like if criminal investigation needs to occur. But at the same time, we have to see, is there remorse in what they've done? Are they regretful? And do they accept that they've done wrong and they're looking to improve themselves? But if they're trying to escape it, then there's something not right there too, So again, a person's realization should reflect in their conduct. So if you think about it, misconduct of any kind, especially of a sexual nature, would be, kind of is a massive contradiction to the scriptures. So embodiment is very important in this sense. Now, when it comes to accountability and dharma, so the Kshatriya spirit, so to speak. Hindu tradition, obviously Vedantic tradition, includes accountability. So whether you're a king, whether you're a rishi, whenever, and you can see this in the Mahabharata and Ramayana, if you did anything wrong, you were challenged. You were you have to deal with those challenges. If you're accused of something, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with that karma. And so trying to escape accountability is another way of saying that you think that you are beyond these things, and that's not the true embodiment of realization. So it's very important to understand that accountability is necessary here. And righteous action, dharma, it requires protecting the vulnerable. So it's being there for the vulnerable is more important than one's own individual status. Even if you may call yourself the highest guru, but if your conduct is not to help the vulnerable, then what are you for? If you think about it, the whole reason why Sri Krishna was even okay with the war, with the Mahabharata, was because he knew that for the people, this was necessary. They needed a righteous king, and Arjun was a righteous king. And so, or the Pandavas were the rightful kind of owners of the kingdom. So this is what you have to understand, that protecting the vulnerable, protecting the poor, protecting the people who need society's help the most is what a guru's kind of conduct should be about. Yeah, if they're just about, living a wonderful lifestyle, I'm sorry. But, as far as I know, yes, I'm not saying that gurus should not have luxury. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that that luxury shouldn't come at a cost. There should be more done for the poor. There should be more given back to society, in my opinion. And again, if these allegations are credible, of any person, it is our dharma to act rather than enable abuse under the guise of divine grace, or it's a tantric process, or it's an occult practice. No, that's just nonsense. If one is doing such things, then, in my opinion, it's adharmic, it's against dharma to do so. And again, there's no grace in this, there's no divinity in this. You can pretend there is, you can pretend it's spiritual, but all it is superstitious rituals that you're doing. And it doesn't matter what you've consecrated either. Like, how does that matter? If your actions are not aligned to the tradition, again, in yoga, the niyamas and yamas are important. You can't escape them. Same thing in Vedanta, the yamas and niyamas are important. If you follow the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says that you have to follow those things. So righteous conduct is absolutely important from a dharmic level. Yeah, from a spiritual level is very important. So again, I don't care whether you build so many temples or you are to be held accountable for any wrongdoing, anything. And every allegation should be taken seriously, regardless whether it's financial misconduct, worker misconduct, volunteer misconduct, or sexual misconduct. Anything like that should be carefully investigated with unbiased people. And that's very important. It all needs to be objective. Okay. And then, if we're in Gyan, which is obviously Advaita Vedanta is more Gyan focused, then there should be, should one have blind devotion or should one have true inquiry? And, in my opinion, true Vedanta discourages, blind guru worship. And that's bhakti without vivek. If you're just worshipping a guru despite knowing how much wrong they've done, then I'm sorry, that's not bhakti. That's fanaticism. That is not true devotion. That's not true worship. If one thinks the guru can do no wrong, first of all, making such a statement is stupid. One should just say that the guru has to follow a certain set of code of conduct. It's what's expected. I think that's really important. And Shankaracharya, he warned against charlatans. He warned against false teachers who will exploit seekers for their money, for their status, for whatever reason. Any guru that tries to exploit you by saying, my thing is, my biggest test that I say to anyone, if you follow any guru, is how many people have they made enlightened? And if you can't say that, if you consider the following, if they haven't made 10% enlightened, I know it sounds like a weird percentage, but at least 10%, I think that's a fair number. If they haven't made 10% of the people enlightened, of their followers, the true disciples, then I'm sorry. There's something wrong. Either the methods aren't working, or that teacher doesn't know what they're doing, and they're just taking you for a ride, and they're riding the wave. They're surfing the waves themselves. They're not really. They know that they can make a fool out of you. So why not? So think about it. Think about this logically. And as students of spirituality, you should ask, do these people live by the principles of Advaita or Vedanta in general, or yoga in general? I don't think one should refrain from doing that questioning. Okay, if you find out that your guru is a fraud, if you find out they're not, fraud is a harsh word, they didn't embody their teachings. They didn't embody the ethics required. So what do we do? Well, first of all, we must understand that the Guru Tattva, the Guru principle, is greater than any individual. So the Guru is that which represents your true nature. So that can be the scriptures. That can be other realized beings. That can be one's own self-inquiry, one's own Atma Vichara. Once you realize that you're formless awareness, that is the Guru Tattva. So Guru Tattva is most important. The Guru as the individual name and form is not so important. What the Guru represents is more important. And that representation is the highest teaching of the scriptures, the highest embodiment of the scriptures and teachings, and also they are fully immersed in that non-dual awareness. That is most important. So what would I say then to somebody that has a problematic teacher is, distance yourself from them. It's okay to. Don't feel bad, and you can still be committed to the path of spirituality, of Advaita Vedanta, of yoga. You don't have to ditch yoga or ditch non-duality or ditch Advaita Vedanta or ditch the scriptures because of someone not embodying them. That person failed. The teachings didn't fail. If somebody practiced it, then failed, then you can question. But obviously they're not practicing it. If they practiced it, they wouldn't do such things. They wouldn't even be accused of such things. Someone can turn around and say it's conspiracy, but there's no smoke without fire. And, whether that's even the Guru's inability to stop the misconduct, they're still to be blamed for that. They could have stopped the misconduct, but they didn't. And that should be a choice that they have to reckon with, and the mistake that they've made, and they have to accept it. That, okay, I didn't do anything, but going forward, it's not going to happen again. Like, if one just owns up to it, it'd be a lot better. And it's just, but if one keeps denying, and if it's true, it's worse, because then you kind of trying to lead the blind over the blind, is what you're trying to do. You're trying to put wool over people's eyes, sorry. So the conclusion here is, for me, and we'll look at some scriptures to kind of back us up. Advaita Vedanta is very clear that your true self, this formless awareness, is your true guru. That's the real guru. That's the inner guru. Everyone said that. Ramana Maharishi, every guru has said that. The guru is within. It's not a fallible human. You'll find many errors with human beings, but the Guru Tattva is most important. Now, if a guru is accused of serious misconduct, and this is just accused, it's wise to investigate. I would say it's very important that we do that. Hold them accountable. So even if they deny it, have they shown you proof that they have things in place to stop this from happening? Do they have things in place to say, none of this has happened? We have evidence that none of this has happened. And if needed, move on rather than defending them blindly. Because, by defending them blindly, all you're doing is actually accepting that those misconducts are okay, even for you to do. You're okay with it. And that's when it's cultish behavior. And that's when probably you should take a step back. So for me and for anyone else, I think protecting Dharma is most important, and protecting seekers is always more important than preserving an institution or a personality. I'm sorry. But even like for my own podcast, what I teach on the podcast is going to be the most important thing. Me as a personality is not important. Me being enlightened is not important. What's more important is, am I benefiting you? And am I helping you reach where you want to be? And if you want to be enlightened, am I helping you on the journey, or am I not helping you on the journey? Is my conduct against what I say on the podcast, or is it aligned with the podcast? I'm a householder, so I live a family life. I go through challenges. I also have arguments with my wife. I can get annoyed with my little son. All these things happen. These vasanas come up, and I have to deal with those vasanas. That's the whole point. No enlightened person can escape such things. So whether you're a seeker or you're enlightened, we all have to go through the same thing. As they say, before enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water. After enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water. Nothing changes. So when it comes to scriptures, the Mundaka Upanishad says the guru should be learned and ethical. So to know that imperishable, one must go to a teacher who's Kshotriya, well versed in scriptures, and Brahmanishta, established in Brahman. So if a teacher lacks ethical conduct, I'm sorry, but even their realization should be questionable. And a guru must live the truth, not just speak it. Then one should say, well, that guru is a good orator, but not necessarily a good teacher. They're a good orator, they're a good speaker, but a teacher maybe not. So we can be happy with a good speaker, a good orator. There's nothing wrong with that. But a teacher is of a higher standard. Okay? And yes, a guru's actions matter, because even in the Gita, Sri Krishna says, whatever a great person does, others follow. Whatever standards they set, the world follows. So a guru is expected to embody their teachings. And so if they are engaging in misconduct, like sexual harassment, they're setting a dangerous precedent. And that's why I think that's why I draw the line on that. And I refuse to say that such a person from this day forward, that they're a good teacher because of those misconduct allegations. Until they are proven to be in court those allegations aren't true. Until then, it's true. And people may not like that. They may be like, that's so woke. But you know what? I'd rather be woke than be blind and be ignorant. That's more, for me, that's more important. It may not be your values. That's up to you. And then Adi Shankaraji also says in Viveka Chudamani that a false teacher is like a blind man leading the blind. He neither knows a path nor can he help others. A true guru must have direct realization and impeccable conduct. One needs to be in that awareness all the time. So if a guru exploits students, and yes, that's happened, they should not be followed. Again, you can still learn from what they say, but they don't have to be your guru. I want us to understand the fine line here. It's a very nuanced point, but it's important to understand that. Because remember, blind faith is not Advaita. Advaita does not at all, in any shape or form, accept blind faith. You may have it in other Bhakti traditions, but certainly in Advaita Vedanta, it's not acceptable. And even in the Mahabharata, it is said that if a teacher strays from Dharma, he is to be abandoned like an impure vessel. So Dharma is above individuals. So you follow Dharma. And if a guru engages in a dharmic behavior, in anti-dharmic behavior, the right course of action is to walk away from them. Yeah, you can say, look, you teach good things, but I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to follow what you teach because I can match you with the scriptures. If you don't match you with the scriptures, abandon that teaching too. You never know how kind of cunning someone can be to lead you more in ignorance. Like I said, it's always a test. If a guru doesn't make enlightened people, I'm sorry, what are they doing? Yeah. The whole point is a guru to make you enlightened. And obviously in Yog Vashisht, it's very clear what the guru is. He says, do not rely on words alone. Seek direct experience. The highest guru is your own inquiry into the self, into the Atman. So if you find that a guru is questionable, trust the scriptures and your own vivek, your own discernment. If your gut is saying something is not right, then just follow your gut. You're not going to go to hell or lose on liberation if you don't follow that teacher. You most likely will still be enlightened because you're following your gut, you're following your intuition, your discernment, and you're trusting the scriptures. And then the next quote, the final quote is, if a person's knowledge must be judged by their actions, if their conduct is immoral, their wisdom is superficial. This is in the Adi Shankaraji's commentary in the Brahma Sutras. So even if somebody speaks Vedanta very well, if their actions contradict Dharma, they should not be considered a true realized being, a true jnani. They can be a good speaker, like I said. Nothing wrong with being a good speaker, but that's all their skill is. They can't lead you to enlightenment. Yeah, a blind person can only make you blind. An ignorant person will only make you more ignorant. Only someone who knows the truth, realizes the truth, embodies the truth, can bring you to the truth, and that directly, instantaneously. And the reason why I say this is, I'll give you the example of Adi Shankaraji. He at least started 4 mutts, 4 places, 4 centers of spirituality. And each of those had 4 acharyas. They were also referred to as Shankaracharya. So that's what I mean by Advaita has the way to lead you to divinity straight away. So I'll conclude here that a guru is just a guide, not an unquestionable authority. If you feel they're unquestionable, I'm sorry, you're following a cult leader or you're following blindly, and therefore you may get fooled. And, for you, ignorance is bliss. Then don't expect enlightenment. If a teacher is accused of misconduct, they must be held accountable. I think that's natural. If you do anything that puts anybody in danger, then I'm sorry, you are a dangerous person, and you should be treated like a dangerous person. If somebody doesn't have high ethics, they should not be teaching anyone or guiding anyone. And I say this because the scriptures, they emphasize discernment, Viveka, over blind obedience. We have to discern what's right and wrong in the long term and the short term, and see what does the greatest amount of good over harm. And that's what's more important, not obedience to some authority that actually is questionable, that is causing harm, and is ignorant themselves. So again, I'm not saying that any of the gurus that I mentioned earlier, that they are in that category, but there's been no evidence of any of the allegations being shown untrue in court right now. So obviously they may be going through legal process right now, so that's possible. But whenever allegations like this come out and it's been investigated, like from The Guardian or even Bae Schofield, because she has written for The Guardian, they should be held with some level of truth until proven guilty. I know we believe in this innocence before proven guilty, but such allegations, especially in sexual misconduct, they're very serious, and I feel that such teachers shouldn't be promoted. You can still appreciate their teachings. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but in my opinion, if you want to stay safe, if you want to be protected, if you want to really advance in spirituality, follow what I've mentioned in today's video. And I hope this helps you. And again, like, I know some people may follow Sadhguru, Amma, Muji, Andrew Cohen, and so on, Osho, but at the end of the day, if somebody does bad, if somebody does misconduct, they have to be held accountable, whether they're dead or alive. One can appreciate what they've said, one can appreciate their teachings, one can appreciate their meditation practices and the yoga practices, of course, but just remember that the highest authority is your own self. And if somebody takes that away from you, they're not a guru. Trust me. A guru never takes away your authority. And if they do, you're following a cult leader, and you need to take a deep look within whether you want to still follow that person. That's all I've got to say. But yeah, if you want to challenge me, I'm open to the comments. And if you feel that this has helped you, please like this video and please share it. I mean, it can help somebody from following a false teacher, or at least a teacher that has been accused of misconduct. We live in the day of the internet, and where misinformation and disinformation can be wild, but with such allegations, anyone that puts an article like that is open to defamation lawsuits. So it can be highly damaging for them if they put something that's untrue. So it's only if there is some element of truth do these allegations come out. But again, people can be shady. So keep an open mind, but remember, you are your highest authority. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. Namaste.